Good afternoon, everybody. This is LSH Live. We are just me today. Just Jeremy. Macy's getting her hair done, so hopefully she logs on. Everybody says hey to her. But today I'm going to do a little bit on bits and spurs, and we'll go over the different techniques and stuff that we use, and different things that I give my amateurs to work on at home. So hopefully we'll let everybody get on here a second, and then we'll go over it. I'll show you the different bits that I ride in every day, and the different techniques and ways that I use my feet and my hands, because I think that's really important. So, a little different style lesson. No horse again, so you guys, this will be something again that you can practice at home. I'm huge on that. I want to have you guys be able to do things at home, because really, if all of my clients watch this, and then they go practice this stuff at home, it just makes my job a ton easier, right? So I want everybody to be able to do this stuff. So, how's everybody doing today? Everybody good? We're all having a great day. It's still snowy and cold out here, so again, if anybody wants to book a clinic somewhere down south, I'm all in. That would be fantastic. I would not complain one bit. Did everybody get a chance to read the blog post? Everybody go on the website, see that? Hopefully you all got a chance to do that and enjoyed it. I'm going to try to write some more of those as we go, and hopefully we'll have a little wealth of information there, and then one day, write my book, right? We'll write the book on horse training and how you can do this stuff at home. That's my goal. I don't know if I can see the chat here the way I've gone live. Oh, perfect, Sandy, awesome, love it. Yeah, so this is going to be kind of the same thing where you guys can practice this stuff at home. So just like the showmanship stuff, we're going to go and fill you in kind of like from ground zero and be able to do this on your own. So we're kind of going back. We're going to take this way back. We talked about what we want a pleasure horse to do. We talk about the different ways they're supposed to use their body. This is going to be ways that you're supposed to use your hands to help your horse, right? We want you guys to be an asset to your horse. We want you to be able to do different things and be efficient, right? Never once did a show horse get made by never touching its face, right? Or never using your feet on its sides. Especially today's show horses. Miss Lynn Turner, how are you today? So that's what I want to try to get you guys to understand, is that today's show horse, today's modern show horse, is showing off our feet. So how do we use our feet? How do we use our hands to create that? So that way, when you do watch me do all the different maneuvers, you'll understand what it is I'm trying to get out of my hands and not have to go back and talk about that, hopefully. I'm sure I will, right? You guys know I do plenty of talking. So I didn't like how the audio turned out last time. And there was some comments that people were kind of unhappy with it also. We tried using the mic setup that's here. I think it's great if you're in person. It wasn't so good if you're just like trying to record off the camera. So what we're gonna do next time is I do have a speaker that sits behind the camera here, and I think I'm gonna try Bluetoothing a phone to the speaker and then talking through there, and hopefully you guys can pick that up. Obviously once we get outside, it'd be way easier to do a lot of things, so awesome. So glad to hear that, Lynn. So glad to hear that. Hopefully everybody's been enjoying these. We've had a lot of good feedback, a lot of trainers and stuff been watching and talking about it, so that's great. I love it. Just try to do something different for you guys. Like I said, I was, before I started showing and doing this stuff big time, I was a do-it-yourselfer too, and Macy, I mean, she did it on her own for a long time, didn't have a lot of help. So it's all about, for me, what were the things that I went through, right? I'm gonna try to save you guys some time that are doing it on your own. What were the different things that I went through when I was coming up, and how did I do it wrong, and how did I do it right, and what have I changed, what do I do different now? And I think, this should always stay current, right? So I change my mind every day. I'll watch something for a while and I'll decide I don't like it, and we're gonna change things up. So this is gonna change quite a bit. Hopefully all the fundamentals and stuff that I've gone through will stay the same, but a lot of this stuff's gonna change. So we'll give everybody a little bit of time to get on here. Did everybody get a chance to check out Sales Paddock? Did you guys like that app? I personally love it. I think that's incredible. She just shared with me the new mapping feature that's coming out. I think it's incredible. Like if you load up the map on there, you can see where people are selling horses around you, which is going to be awesome. So like I think of all the road trips that I take, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had like this area of horses that I could check out, and that's going to be so cool. So cool. Like here I am in Nowheresville, Indiana. Are there horses for sale around me? Can I go look at some horses in a pasture? That'd be incredible. Sandy, it's the Sales Paddock. www.salespaddock.com, or find them on Facebook. It's an app for your phone they have for Android and iPhones. And it's cool. It's really cool. Just download it and check it out. Just browse around. And then just keep it in mind when you go to buy or sell your next horse. If everybody adopts that, it could change the way we do things, which is what I'm all about, right? I mean, we're doing this. We're changing the way that people train and ride horses. So hopefully a little innovation, a little game changer. I'm all about it. All right, so I'll get started here. We're about 5 o'clock on the dot. So I'll take a second, show you guys the bits that I have. So today's lesson, bits and spurs and how we use our hands and our feet. So there's a couple different maneuvers that I really want you guys to be able to do when you come in, right? So if you were to come take a lesson from me, these are maneuvers that you can have down pat before we ever get involved. If you can do these on a horse and be comfortable and confident with the movement, it'll save so much time, okay? So what we're gonna talk about is the way we use our hands and the way we use our feet. So back in the day, everybody called good horse trainers a good hand, right? They were good hands with horses. They said that Billy Bob was a great hand with the horses. And I like to think that they meant literally hands, right? So good hands make great horses. And what you have to understand is I can't teach you feel, right? I can show you guys the different maneuvers that we use and the different exercises and stuff and talk about the theory behind it and what we're trying to create, and then analyze your horses and see like where they are out of balance and stuff. But I can't teach you feel, especially through this. So I kind of come up with different exercises all the time to kind of help you guys develop feel and be in a position where you can start to feel. So I think about this stuff, like the showmanship with the steps and everything and how we walk off and how we turn. Those are the steps. Those are the drills, right? If you can do the drills, it'll apply towards the game. So I'm a huge hockey fan, and I think about like the stick handling drills, right? So they have a little egg on the ice, and their job is to pass the egg back and forth from front side to back side without cracking the egg. And that's to teach them feel, because if you go out there and you don't have any feel when you go to shoot the puck, it's not gonna go where you want it to go. You're not gonna be able to finesse it through and do different things. And riding a horse is exactly the same way. There's a lot of feel that has to go on. So when you watch us ride, you'll never, ever, ever see us ride with a closed hand, okay? If my horse makes me want to close my hand, I should stop and back up, okay? We ride with the reins and the tips of our fingers, okay? So if I take my reins right here and I ride on a general basis, hopefully this thing doesn't fall over on me. On a general basis, I want to ride with the tips of my fingers in the reins, okay? And I've got this set up right here because I want to show you guys a couple different ways that we use our hands and a couple different techniques and stuff to practice with. And this is something that you can do at home, okay? And I highly, highly encourage it. Take your favorite bridle, hang it on the wall, and just practice going from 1 to 2 hands, right? So I'm going to run this through kind of in slow motion, and we'll kind of talk about the different things that I look for and go from there. But the biggest thing is you need to be proficient with your hands, okay? You cannot, and I've given a lot of lessons with trying to help people, you can't train your horse on a huge drape, okay? There's no way that I can go from here and train my horse to be what it's supposed to be, okay? Horse training itself is not always going to be super pretty, right? We're not always trying to be this loose rein drape going slow. It doesn't get made that way, okay? So it gets made by being close to our horse's face and by asking it to round up and by asking it to stay there, okay? So I'm going to help that horse understand first and foremost how it has to give to the pressure and how it has to roll around and be super soft. And then once it's soft and it doesn't challenge my hands, meaning if I put it in position and I've got a hold of it, it's going to stay with its face right here and not ever like try to leave on me. Because anytime my horse tries to leave, it's going to hollow out in its back, right? So I want that horse to stay round and stay in position, okay? So once I have a horse that can do that, then it's just teaching it to make moves underneath me off my feet, okay? So the biggest part about that is once it makes a move off my feet, I've got to turn loose, okay? Because horses learn from the release. They learn from the reward of me releasing, okay? So they don't learn from when I take a hold of it, they learn from when I say thank you and good job, okay? So when I take a hold of my horse, I need to be able to go from in, tight to its face, to out quickly, right? And be on a drape, be back where I was before, okay? And I've seen a lot of people really struggle with that, all right? So that's what today's lesson is about. And then hopefully we'll have a little bit extra time and I'll go over the different techniques and stuff that I think you should be able to do with your feet, okay? Because it's going to be the kind of the same thing. Might have to be 2 separate lessons. We'll see how long this takes, right? So what I want to do is everybody has their bridles hanging up. I'll walk you through kind of my bit selection and how I do things and kind of my favorite everyday bits. So I've arranged these from less severe to more severe, okay? So my first bit is my rubber snaffle, okay? And this is just D-ring, fat rubber snaffle. It's got a bunch of hay on it from the colts. Nothing major here. This is what I start everything in, okay? From there, my horses move into a smooth snaffle. And that's right here. My smooth snaffle that you saw me riding Peanut in, this is what I was riding Enzo in that day. This is what they graduate out of. As soon as they're done, I get on their back, I'm usually in this, okay? And I'll talk about how I choose bits too, okay? So that's smooth snaffle, just an O-ring, it slides, no pinch here, nothing, just basic. From there, I move into my medium twist. This is my bread and butter. This is what I try to get all my horses riding around in, is this kind of medium twist D-ring. This is my favorite bit. I think this is a good middle of the road bit for just about any horse. I have a certain feel that I'm looking for that I can develop and maintain. This one's got a little bit of curve to it. So you can see that, how it kind of curves. It's not just straight. And I love this bit. This is kind of, if I had to pick a bit to ride in every day where they're not too pushy, but they're not backed off of it, this would be it right here. Okay, so this is an everyday bit for going through and doing all your maneuvers and teaching your horse to be soft and supple. Okay. So then from there, if I'm in a twist like that and my horse is still pushy, we'll go to a thin twist. And this is a pretty thin twist right here. You see that that's pretty small. The less diameter here, the sharper it's going to be on the horse's mouth, right? So the thinner this gets, the more that horse is going to respect it, the less they're likely to push on it. And again, that's just an O-ring. It slides, it moves around a lot. It's really loose, okay? So for snaffles, that's pretty much it. I have another twist, a copper twist that I use on my draws. So I've already got that hooked up here. Another copper twist. Again, this is my favorite bit, and you can see how worn this one is. That's my favorite bit right there. Just that copper twist, medium twist, nothing too thin right here. And that's on the draws, okay? So then once my horse moves out of a twist, and we start trying to get a horse to be a one-handed horse, then I'll move him into this. And this is, again, just a fat twist with a little bit of a shank to it. Okay, so this has got a little bit of chin pressure. You see it's got a chin strap on it. You're gonna have a little bit of leverage now when I pick up like this. And I'll show you how I determine how that bit's gonna work. So you guys, when you're bit shopping, you'll know what's severe and what's not. This is where I go to. This is probably midway through their 2-year-old year. We'll go into this. We'll spend a lot of time in it as they become a 3-year-old, as they start to get more broke to being a one-handed horse. Okay. So from there, as my horse gets more solid, I'll move into something like this with a little port in it, okay? This is a little longer shank, and it's got a little port to it. It's still pretty jointed. It's still pretty flexible. As a basic rule of thumb, the more flexible your bit is, the more flexible your horse should be. So I'm not about to go try to get my horse soft in a solid bit because I'm going to run into a whole heap of problems. And soft as far as like being able to roll them left to right and really move their neck around. Okay? I don't want them to be too loosey-goosey in something that's solid. Okay, so the more places my bit moves, the more I should expect my horse to come and be soft and flexible everywhere. Okay, so from there, this is my horsemanship bit of choice. This is what Benson was riding around in. This is a little bit taller port. I call it the 7 shank. It's got a little bit of an arc to it right here. This is only jointed right here, just the side swivel. So what I can expect is I can expect a horse that's going to be a little bit more solid in his face, but I can still take his neck left to right and apply some direct rein pressure in this. okay? So that's why I really like this. I can pull his head to the side, and this bit will work that way. So this is what Benson was riding around in when I did that horsemanship clinic, if you saw that. This is kind of my favorite bit to go to for that. This is a good middle-of-the-road bit. You see it doesn't have reins on it. I use it in the draws. In the draws, it kind of gives them something to sit on, but they don't get intimidated by it because it's not that big of a port, okay? From there, we'll get into a little bit more finished horse. We'll go into a little bit more finished pleasure horse especially. We'll go into this. Again, a small port with a little bit of a curve to it, just a little spoon, but a long shank, okay? And this particular one, I have a leather chin strap on because I don't want it to be too intimidating. But this is a long shank, short port. So what this means is, what this will do for me is I'll have a lot of action without moving my hand much. So that shank, the shank length, determines how much I have to move my hand or if that bit to work, right? So the same as the port in the bit, it's how severe that bit's gonna be. So if I go and I move my hand a little bit in this, I'm gonna get a lot of action as this bit moves, but not a lot of pressure on the roof of their mouth with that port, okay? So this is what I like to show my pleasure horses in. If I have a horse that I'm trying to get ready at home, I'll practice in this a lot because it's super solid. Like this bit doesn't move anywhere. It's really solid, but it's not too intimidating, right? So I can get them, I can expect a little bit of push in this and it's okay. I don't have to like have them tighten way down to where they're not going forward at all in it. So this is kind of that middle of the road pleasure bit for me as we get ready to show. So then if I have a pleasure show horse, this is kind of your big bit. This is the other end of the spectrum. So if the thin twist is the end of the snaffle spectrum, this would be the end of the port spectrum for me. This is as severe as it gets. This is like a little port right here and a long shank. So same type of shank with a little taller port. Okay, and I don't have a chin strap on this one because I don't use it. We don't have anything that finished in here yet, just a bunch of green horses and young horses. So just like this and the other one, I don't even have on a head stall. So we're not using these right now at this time of the year. So us for this time of year, this is the off season. This is about getting our horses soft and supple. So we're spending a lot of time in snaffles. Okay, so the way that I tell people to check these, if you're ever curious about how severe your bit is, if you're in a snaffle, the biggest thing to remember about snaffles is that they're made to work across your horse's mouth, okay? So I'm gonna try to hold this in my hand. They're made to go left to right this way, okay? So when you see us take up on these 2-year-olds, I'll have my hands on Peanut, I'm riding her around. I'll take my hands with my snaffle and I'll make it move left to right. So I'm here and I'm gonna work this bit this way, side to side, okay? I'll turn towards you so you can see that. I'm working my hands side to side, okay? And that's one of the biggest things for me. Snaffles were not meant to just pull back like this, okay? If I just straight pull back in a snaffle, that horse is gonna lean into the bit and he's gonna push on my hands, and I don't want that. I want my horse to stay off a snaffle right here, so I'm gonna make that bit go left to right. With that being said, you can take any snaffle and you can use the buddy system. Denny, you want to give me a hand real quick, or Sam? You can use the buddy system here. Hold this right here, okay? Actually, give me this. You're gonna hold your hand, hold this bit right here in the palm of your hand, okay? And Sam, come up here and grab the reins and show me some left to right action in those reins. We'll move this way so they can kind of see. So we're gonna watch this bit move left to right across my hand, like that. So this is what it's gonna feel like to your horse. This is what makes thinner twists more severe, okay? So you can feel how it rubs and pulls this piece right here against the palm of my hand, okay? So as Sam moves that bit left to right in my hand, that bit actions, okay? The key here is when Sam's using her hands on this, she's going this way and that way across her horse's body. Okay? So if your saddle horn was sitting right here, you're going left to right across the horse's body. Don't go back. And this is what I see a lot of. People will break their wrists and pull that way. Okay? And that to me is very, very wrong. So if we take this bit right here and do the same thing, like it all tangled up. We'll take this one, do the same thing, this thinner twist. Here's your reins. This is my horse's mouth. As this goes, Sam's going to work that side to side, and this is certainly going to make me respect it a lot more, right? I'm going to be back off this and saying, oh, I'm going to give to you. Okay, as this slides across my hand, that is certainly a lot more painful than the other one. Okay, so I'm going to have a little bit more respect in this. My horse is much less likely to push on me in this. Okay. So then when we go into the ports, if you're ever curious about that, the best way to test it is to take your hand, and I'll tell people to stick their arm right through it. I guess I should use one on the reins on. I'll tell people to stick their arm right through that bit, because that's very similar to what your horse's mouth is going to be like. Okay? So if you take your hand and hold on to the bit right here, close your fingers, because this is the roof of my horse's mouth, and this is his chin right here. Okay? As we use this, go ahead and take on these reins, Sam. As we use the reins here, okay, we're going to pick up in this. Okay? We pick up in this, and it twists the shank, which applies pressure to the roof of my mouth right here. And as we get into taller ports, you'll see that. Pressure to the roof of my mouth and pressure on the back of my hand. Okay? So the chin strap is going to hit the back of my hand and pinch, and then this is going to use this as a lever. Okay? So the shank rotates, which makes the port action in the roof of their mouth. So as the shank rotates, as the chin strap's right there, we apply pressure to our horse's jaw. Okay? So when you do this, if you do it this way, you'll find how these different bits apply pressure in different ways. Okay? So we'll take this one, put this one in my hand, and Sam, if you want to come pull on this shank, you're going to see it pry open the fingers of my hand, right? If you're ever again not sure, stick your whole arm in there and have a friend that you trust and have them pull on that bit, and you'll feel the pinch. Okay? You'll see the bit pinch into the horse's tongue right here. You'll see it lift into the roof of their mouth, and you'll feel it come underneath here. Okay? So as we move up bits, what Sam should find in this one is that she doesn't have to move the reins very much at all in order for that shank to apply a lot of pressure. Okay? So as I go in here, see how little you have to do that before you feel it? Yep. Okay? So what you can do is you can have a friend grab a hold and move that bit, and you can really feel how that bit applies pressure, okay, and gives you leverage. That's the different piece about this. As we move up shanks, as we move up ports, it's about leverage, okay? The taller the port, the longer the shank, the more leverage you have, okay? So with that being said, my bit selection then is about me being soft, okay? I want to ride really, really soft with my hands, and let my horse determine what bit I'm going to ride in, okay? Which bit does my horse respect and which one doesn't he? My commitment is that I'm always going to come to his mouth or his side soft in the beginning, okay? I'm going to get in soft and I'm going to finish soft. But I'm not going to get in soft and have him just lean and push all over me, okay?
Okay, we have a question. It says, What do you recommend for the horse that gives his face too much chin to chest but doesn't really drop neck and still pushes through the shoulder? If it comes out of the bridle, it's in the neck, not the face.
Yep. So that's kind of the next piece. So the way that we do this, to me, horses are a spectrum. Okay? You're either going on one end where you're too pushy, or you're on the other end of the spectrum where you're too backed off. Okay? So as we work these bits, I tend to think of like my rubber snaffle is the very end. I want my horse to be really pushy on a rubber snaffle. Okay? I want them to lean on a rubber snaffle. When I put a thin twist in their mouth, I want them to really back up and never challenge a thin twist. Okay? With that being said, the feel that I go for on an everyday basis is in the middle. Okay? And that's the medium twist snaffle right here. That medium twist. That's the middle of the road for me. If I get my horse to where its face is on the vertical in a medium twist, I'm doing great. I'm doing a good job. Because what I can do then is I have a horse that if he gets a little bit heighty in that, I can go to a smooth snaffle and he'll come a little undone. Or if he's a little pushy on that, I can go to a thin snaffle and he comes a little bit behind it. Okay? And I'm always thinking about where his face is on the vertical. okay? I don't want to ride in a smooth snaffle and get my horse really, really, really light. Because if I do that, what bit am I going to go into to make him pushy if I want to start taking hold of his shoulders, right? So if I get my horse to where he gives his chin first, but I don't have his shoulders, I'm kind of in trouble. And this is probably where a lot of you guys are with your horses at home, because this is a problem that I ran into for a long, long time, is I might get my horse soft in its face. I would get him to give right behind his ears, and he would just kind of fold up and still be going that way, right? So that's something we're going to address probably in the next lesson with the horses, is how do we use the backup? Because it's not just backing up, right? It's a backup to put them in athletic position so they can go on and do something else athletically. So that's the next piece. The first piece of it, though, is understanding the equipment and how to go to your hands. So for me, I want to get them to where they respect my hands and respect the bit. So that medium road, or middle of the road, medium twist is where I want to be on a day-to-day basis, okay? So something that if they get a little scared of it, I can go softer. If they get a little bit pushy on it, I can go harder, okay? I don't want to get my horse super pushy in a thin twist. If that happens, again, I'm in trouble, okay? If I let my horse push on my hands in a thin twist, we're going to have a monster of a time trying to get him right. So same exact idea with my shank bits. I want to get him to where he'll just kind of sit in the middle, not be too pushy, but not be too out in his nose in this, okay? Because that's going to give me, again, the middle of the road. And then once my horse is broke from there, it's just what feel do I want for the day, right? If I get a horse that I know wants to come a little bit undone, I'll keep him in a little longer shank, a little taller port, so I don't have to lift my hand much, okay? So the idea is get your horse broke, and then equipment selection becomes what kind of feel do I want for the day, right? So if I have a horse who knows to keep his shoulders up and back with me, then my equipment choice becomes where do I want his face on that general realm of pushy or not pushy, okay? So same exact idea with my spurs when we go to talk about that is how do I choose which spurs to ride in? Whichever ones my horse respects and will move away from, okay? I don't want him to run from my spurs, especially if I'm in something dull, and I don't want him to push on my spurs, especially if I'm in something sharp, okay? So it's knowing your horse and knowing what you're trying to train towards, okay? So with that being said, again, the key pieces here when we talk about our hands is that snaffles are made to move this way, okay, across that horse's mouth. They're not made to pull back on, okay? So if I take my horse, and this is a problem I see 99% of people do, they'll be riding right here and I'll say, okay, go ahead and take a hold of your horse. They're going to go this way, okay? I always tend to think of the pressure that you're applying to your horse's mouth is going to be related to where your fingers are pointing. If I see someone curl their fingers this way, that pressure's going back there, okay? So you're going to take a hold with your hands, you're going to bump on it like this, that pressure's going this way, okay? So for me, what we try to do with our snaffles is we go this way. So it's kind of uncomfortable for people at first to keep their hands out in front of them, because if you do that, Sam, what happened to your horse's shoulders?
You lose them.
You lose them, right? So when you start keeping your hands out in front of you, suddenly there's nothing holding your horse's shoulders back anymore, and now you're not lying to yourself, and you're not lying to your horse anymore, right? So when you take your hands and you've got them out in front of you, and your horse leaves, he's telling you, I need to back up, right? He's saying, I need to stop and back up because I don't keep my shoulders up unless you're hanging on to him. And this is the problem that I see 99% of people get into. They ride right here either for their own comfort and safety, right, because they're afraid they're going to fall off, or B, because they're lying to themselves and they're not trying to address the fact that they need to back up, right, that their horse is not holding its shoulders up on its own.
You're babysitting.
You're babysitting, exactly. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're working left to right. And if my horse pushes or leans on me or drops his shoulders out here, I'm going to stop, back up, and turn. And then put my hands back forward and ask again. So that bit is always working left to right. Okay? With that being said, the way we practice that is I want you guys to come in here and take your reins, take your bridle, put it on the fence, and be able to go from 1 to 2 hands effectively. Okay? So I'll put my hand in the bridle like this. I've got my hand open. I might have to go closer to the camera. Got my hand open. I want to be able to take and loop over and split wide. Okay. Sam, can you see if they can, is this close enough?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Can you see what I'm doing with my hands?
Yeah, not so much.
Let's go closer. Without knocking this whole thing over. This whole operation might come crashing down on me. All right. So the way we do that is to come in and take my hands, and I've got them like this, hand open. I'm going to take my thumb and loop it underneath. Okay? So finger through the middle like this, normally riding around, thumb underneath. That will allow me to open up the fingers on the top of my hand. So the reins should be resting like this. Then I'll come under like this and grab onto the inside rein. So that move, if I roll it back, is going to be here. Open my fingers up, loosen my hand up, thumb underneath like this, come up, and then grab the inside rein. As I do that, I'm going to reach up with my free hand right here. Okay? So I'm one-handed like this. It's kind of hard because rein's kind of close. There's no neck here. But we're going to come underneath, we're going to loop up, and I'm going to pull across. This is if I was working on my right side. Pull across. I'm going to use my left hand to the outside with my finger hooked right here. Okay? That gives my horse a chance to tell me, that horse is really scared. That gives my horse a chance to tell me if he's soft or not. Okay? I want my horse to be light enough that he'll give to this. Okay? So get really comfortable doing that, making that move right there. And then pitch loose. Okay? So I'm here, loop, grab, drop. Here, loop, grab, drop. Get fast at this. The other piece that you want to watch are your reins even when you put them down. Okay? What you'll find is if you repeat this back a bunch of times, you might not get this loop right here, and then your reins will be uneven. So when I do this, I should have a loop in my hands. Okay? So I'll show you that right here. I'm riding along. I'm going to pick up, turn my hand up like this, grab the inside, split wide. Now I'm ready to work. Okay? And then I'll take my hands and I'll go left to right across my horse's mouth. And you can see the bit, I'm going to pick up on it and go left to right here. Okay? So that's really, really important. Be able to do that quickly and efficiently. Where you come in, loop, pull, drop. Come in, loop, pull, drop. Come in, loop, pull, drop. And you see how when I come in, I'm drawing on my horse, right? So I'm giving him a lot of warning right here as I pick up to draw on him and then pick up and go wide. Okay? So when I do that, I can take my free hand. Sometimes I'll take it and press it right into his neck and pull up on my left hand. Okay? This is shortening the reins to get me closer to his mouth, and it slows me down. So that when I do come into his mouth, I'm going to it soft and slowly. So I'm going to draw right here, pick up, wide. Okay? Once I do that, then I can take my hand, I can bring it over here and bump wide and out. Okay, and you'll see me do that on Peanut a lot now. Is I'm going to come wide and keep the pressure down to keep her in the bridle. Okay, so come wide, up, loop. All right, that move to me is huge. I want people to be able to do that. You need to be able to draw up on your horse effectively. Okay, so set the reins up on the saddle or on the fence or whatever you want to do and practice coming in a lot. Be efficient at this. Okay? You have to be able to move up and down your reins effectively in order to train a horse. There's just no way not to. Okay? So when I ride, a lot of times you're going to see me ride like this. I'll have a big loop up in my left hand, and I'm right here. If I were working on my right side, I'll just simply switch my hands. Okay? I'll keep the loop over in my right hand. That way I have a lot of pressure over here. So that when I pick up, my left rein is going to be solid to my horse's mouth, or my right rein is going to be solid to my horse's mouth, and my left rein can bump. Okay? And my left rein can make the snaffle move back and forth. The whole operation came crashing down. I knew it was going to happen.
No.
Come on, Tom. I had a feeling. So we're going to abuse some equipment here today. No problem. All right. So that to me is huge. Be able to move your hands up and down on that bridle. Thank you, guys. I was trying to think of the best way that we could arrange this for you guys.
Doesn't work.
This wasn't it. It's hard because you got to be able to see what's going on. So to do this, thank you, Dad. Perfect. So moving up and down those reins effectively is going to be huge for you guys to just be good when you're moving up and down, right? So coming in, we can just leave those there. I didn't need all of them now, I just need one of them. So come in here, work that bit left to right, okay? Practice getting in and staying even in your horse's mouth, because it's going to be huge, okay? So I want to be able to feel that horse's mouth, so split that bit wide and then work, okay? So make that bit go left to right. The other piece of that is, when I ride split-reined, I'll ride like this with, again, a loop, because that will allow me to bounce up, okay? I can bounce up like this, right here, bounce up and come across. I do not like to ride with my tails crossed over my horse's neck very much, okay? So that's where you'd see some people ride and they've got the tails like this on either side of the horse's neck. That to me is a problem, because when I pick up, I feel this piece on the outside of my horse's neck, and I think it just messes things up. So I want to have direct reins on either side if I ride two-handed. Now, one of the big pieces that I see people do when they ride two-handed is they tend to ride like this, okay? To me, there's not much good in riding like this, because my hands control my horse's shoulders. So if I get my hands like this, I'm effectively telling my horse's shoulders to do the same thing, okay? So a lot of the times I'll have my people ride like this, where we're in a loop, or with that drop and split to two hands, where we're like this, okay? So that your hands are always square on your horse. If I want to tighten up, I can tighten up one rein, but I'll continue to sit square on my horse, okay? Because I think it's huge to be square. If I allow one shoulder to leak because I don't have contact on one side, I'm in trouble, okay? So I don't want to let my shoulders leak out. There we go. So I don't want to let my shoulders leak out one way or the other, right? I want to make sure I can pick up and come square to my horse's mouth. So when you see me ride these colts and ride these 2-year-olds, we're coming in, I'm going to be square, and I'm going to make a shape, okay? I'm always going to ride with my hands open. I'll ride with my third and fourth fingers a lot right here. So it might look like on the outside I don't have much going on, but on the inside, my hand is really opening and closing a lot, okay? But you've got to be relaxed, you've got to be soft up there when you're riding around. Don't squeeze the oil out of the reins, right? Danny, you've heard that before, right? Don't squeeze the oil out. So I've seen a lot of people just ride and they're just like they got mittens on, right? Don't ride like you got mittens on. Keep your hands open, okay? I think of it as when you were a kid in school and they gave you a crayon and you started coloring, okay? You took that crayon and when you held it like this, and you just held it like this, you tried to color with it, we couldn't stay in the lines and we couldn't be very accurate, right? And then along the way, someone said, hey, if you hold your crayon like this in your fingertips, you can be a lot more accurate with it and you can do a lot better things with it. And you can stay within the lines and do exactly what you're trying to do, okay? When you're trying to write your ABCs like this, they weren't very pretty, but when you switched your grip and you got it in your fingertips, you had a ton more feel and a lot more accuracy. So to me, it's the exact same way with these horses. Ride with your fingertips because this is where you can be accurate. This is where you have feel, okay? If you get like this, 9 times out of 10, you are battling with your horse and you're skipping steps, okay? You're getting way ahead of your horse, okay? So we want to make sure you guys understand what I'm talking about when I say go wide and how we get there. So what I want everybody to be able to do right here is pick up and split and get good at this, okay? Pick up, split, drop it down. Pick up, split, drop it down. Pick up, split, drop it down. Have this be second nature. So that flip through is what saves me time. And when you're training a horse, time is everything, right? The timing in which you get in, if you're fumbling around with your reins, you're late, okay? And you're gonna miss it. So we wanna get in quickly and efficiently, but not surprise our horse. And to me, I think that's the best way to do it, to where you're not gonna surprise your horse and make him leave the bridle because you came in too fast, okay? So those different ways that we do that, take my hand right here, I can draw, and I'll do that a lot in my ported bits, okay? I'll put my hand on his neck and I'll pull up on my left rein. And then I'll tighten everything up and make him come up to me, okay? So I try to think of that as, I've got a horse that I know won't come undone on me, so So I'll take and I'll pick up like this. And it'll lift his withers and lift his neck right here in the middle. Because he knows the wide, he knows the gather piece of it. So I can drop in and lift him up and apply pressure right here and really pick him up off the ground. Okay? So that's when we start getting into our ported bits and stuff. We'll start moving like that. So I'll come in, bring my hand, hold down here, slide my left hand up. This will get me tight to his mouth, and I'll pick up and make that bit action. Okay? So just a little bit about bit selection, a little bit about how we use our hands, and some different ways that you can be effective. So hopefully now when you watch, you're going to see me do those things and see how I come in, right? So horses are a spectrum, right? To recap, horses are a spectrum. They're either too pushy or they're too light, always, okay? On your hands, on your feet, they're either too much this way or too much this way, okay? They're either too much this way or too much this way, okay? And it's about opposites. If my horse wants to go that way, I back up. If my horse wants to go this way, we go forward. If my horse wants to go that way, we go this way. If my horse wants to go this way, we go that way. Plain and simple, okay? My job as a rider is to stay square to him as much as possible. I don't want to get like this, because if I sit like this, I'm going to be out of position. So that's what I like about coming in like this, is see how my shoulders and everything can stay really square. I can drop out, I'm square, pick up, I'm square. Okay? And then when I go to bump on him, I'm going to come up, either up in front of me out here, or wide this way. Very rarely am I just going back like this. Okay? If I'm going back like this, it's probably on a really finished horse that knows not to go that way. Okay? And I'll just pop him backwards and be done. Okay? But don't ride around holding your horse back down here. Okay? So keep your hands low and wide on your young horses to start teaching them to drop their neck, and then you bring them up. Okay? When your hands are up here, this is the ideal position. I like to talk to my people about being the puppet master on their horses. We have a horse that knows to stay down in his neck because he's gone left to right a lot. So we go left to right, and then we come up. So my hands will be out in front of me working up here. And my horse will just roll up into his chest, and I'll bring everything this way. Okay? So I try to think of it as being a little puppet master around there. We'll pick our horse up like this and have him be round and up in his shoulders. Okay? It is very difficult to have a horse stay up and back with you if he doesn't understand to do that on his own. Right? If you do this and your horse doesn't know how to keep his shoulders up, guaranteed your horse is going that way and you're going fast. Okay? So the idea is we take our hands, we start out here, we gather our horses to get up here. Okay, so the progression of our 2-year-olds, if you watch Peanut, we'll do all these clinics on the way through. First things, you'll see me out here. As she gets more broke, I'm going to scoop her up to be right here. Okay, and that's my one-handed horse like that. Okay, so the progression of horses, we're right here. We go wide, we come out, we start gathering everything up, and now we're scooped up one-handed. Okay, so, gosh, that goes fast, doesn't it? It's like 5:30 already, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
All right. It goes fast. It's 5:38, right? We went along. Okay. So a little bit about bit selection. If you guys have questions, feel free to send them in. We'll talk about them. I'll talk about the different things that we do. I'll get to them. Probably tonight I'll be able to get to them. Next video will be, I'll cover another one on spurs and how we use our feet. Okay. And the different techniques and stuff we can do that. But practice that right there. Again, if you guys go to your horse trainer, wherever you are, and you know how to move up and down the reins effectively, and you can slide out and grab, we're all gonna get a lot better, right? We'll make a lot of progress a lot faster. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Recap video will be tomorrow, and we'll cover everything we got. If you haven't checked out Sales Paddock, check them out. I love them. Don't forget about Hollow Denim. Don't forget about Good Ride. Check out the website. Follow us on Instagram. Love you guys. See you later.